which makes it a very realistic figure. And it's not just the one figure, they usually include two figures. Hello, this is BJ from Hearns Hobbies, and welcome to an unboxing today of something different. Actually, everything's different. Every time I unbox something, they're always very interesting, and this particular one, oh, got the wrong way around. Here we go. This is a Max Factory or Plamax figurine set of Nobuteru Taniguchi, who is a car driver. He's driven in the Japanese D1 Drift series and also the Super GT racing car series. And this is part of their 3D scanned figures, where they get the subject to actually stand in front of a whole bunch of cameras, and he's fully 3D scanned. I think it's over 100 cameras, they say, which makes it a very realistic figure. And with these, it's not just the one figure, they usually include two figures. So you have, oh, well, over here we've got a photographer kneeling, and then you also got Taniguchi here in either with his face showing or with the helmet. So how about we have a close look at the box from the top? Here we go. So this is a photographic reference. So this would have been taken at the time of the scanning. And then you've got a little bit of imagery of the actual kit. So these are made in 1/20th scale. 1/20th scale is an unusual scale for figures alone, but does work very well with Maschinenkrieger, which you could use together, or you just use them as the figures by themselves. So you can have a little vignette happening. We have a photographer taking a shot of Taniguchi as he's gotten out of his car and showing the victory pose. Okay, so on the back here, you see the actual full figure pose right there. You do get some decals as well. And here is the version with the helmet. So how about we open it up and we'll see what's included. So we'll just open the box here. Now there's two sets of sprues. And you got one here, and then there'll be another one which is sort of a bit of a tight fit. Get my fingers in there. Second set, and you've got a little manual as well. Okay, so we'll pop that over there for later. Let's have a closer look at, let's look at this one first, I think. So this particular one, yeah, you see the decals are included. So this is the driver figure, 1/20 scale. It is a reasonably sized figure. Just cut this open. All right, let's open that up. Got some really nice decals. Let's have a close look at the decals, I think. Do a bit of zoom. There you go, so you got some really fine stuff. You've got these for the sides of the arms. This will be for the front of the race suit, back of the race suit. So quite interesting there. Even if you decide to use this for some other genre, so maybe even Maschinenkrieger, you keep these decals and use them for something else. Okay, so they're the decals. Now let's have a look at the amazing sprue. Now, as I move this, you can see just how they use all these different angles and such to locate those parts, so that when they're molded, you get the crispest detail possible. So you notice they're angling on the torso, also the back, and there you've got the head. So with these 3D printed kits, the way that they're being engineered is different to, say, a 3D CAD designed kit. They've actually thought about where it's going to come apart the best to give the best detail. So normally you'll see this head, it'll be split straight down the center, but they've been able to find exactly where the high parts are and they've split it across there. So when you join these together, they're going to give a super clean and very realistic finish. Let's zoom in on here, and I'm going to go straight for the head. I can get that zoomed in right. How's that? See if I can get some shadows happening there. You can see that expression on his face. So that's a true face of Taniguchi. Now over here you've got the back of the head. So when you've got these together, they act as a sub-assembly. Okay, so that's going to lock into place in the suit. so that if you want to use the other, or the optional head, which is over here, so you've got the helmet, and you've got the visor, and you've got the hands device. Now that would fit onto this part instead. So you see how that's identical with backing? So if you're really clever, you would be able to design it so they could flick between either of these. You could use a magnet and go between those. So apart from that, we have, you will notice that there's not actually any face in here. So they've separated the visor. So the visor is just going to be a solid color. And then you've got the supports on the back of the hand device. There's a hands device which goes over the shoulders. And then you have the arms. These are the racing shoes. So we're going to get it to a point where we can actually see those. The laces are actually very prominent. Maybe about there, you might be able to see it. Might be a bit washed out, it's a bit bright. Maybe there. You can see here how there's really natural folds to the fabric. And that's all to be expected because, I mean, it's photographic. Here you got the other shoe. And you'll see if I flip this around, it's been hollowed, and you've got the locating pins. They're actually quite simple, so it's very easy to locate, very solid, not like little pins. Even these sections on the arms, because they are designed to be pressed together. I mean, I would be one to use glue as well. You can see these very large locating pins there too. And here as well. So once you glue this up, they're going to be very, very strong. It's not going to have any flex when you squeeze it, so it's going to have quite a lot of longevity after you put it into a working diorama or vignette. Okay, so there's Taniguchi, the race car driver. Now I think that's really well made for this particular interesting pose as well. Arms up in the victory pose. Now, put that aside. I'm actually more interested in this one. This is the photographer. I guess I've always had an interest in photography, and in my earlier days I was carrying around some very large 35mm cameras. I used to carry around a couple of Nikon F4s, and after a while you build up some muscles carrying that stuff because it's really heavy. Much heavier than the digital cameras of today. Okay, so there we go. This is the digital scan of the photographer. Let's have a closer look. Now again, I'm going to go looking for the head. Head sculpt is what I'm most impressed by generally, and you can't really go wrong with these. I mean, scanning a real person is not going to be an issue. It's going to be really realistic. And then there's the back of the head. Now as we move across, we've got the camera. Okay, so the camera in the vertical grip position with the lens just on the side there. Got another section of the arm and another lens there, I think. What have they done there? Okay, so the lens is in two pieces. So it's going to be a semi-telephoto, probably a short telephoto, portrait type lens. Got another arm here. And then you'll notice that the torso is split in a very unusual fashion. And there again, that's because it's been 3D scanned and they've been able to split it in the points where it's going to give the maximum amount of detail as it's been molded. Okay, so the torso is actually all these multiple pieces. Okay, so you've got, that's the right arm section. That's going to marry up to the back of this. And then you have this section here. And just the way that the bag and the jacket has just sort of hung on the body, and then you have the crouching stance. So I've got one leg with a foot there as well, other leg, so that's in halves. This is quite an interesting mold. So this is the left arm shoulder with the bag, so it's actually hanging by the straps. Very interesting how they've achieved that. So it's going to be very I guess it looks complicated, but when it goes together, it's going to look absolutely fantastic. Scanning of the shoes, very sharp sole patterns there. And also this one, which is the one that's being curled up on the toes. And then there's the back of the bag and the top of the bag with the zip. Really well done. So 1/20 scale figures, I quite like my figures. Quite like 20 scale because that's a max scale. And there we go there. All right, so let's have a look at the manual. So here's a manual as such. The manual itself is really basic. So when you fold it out, it's actually a poster. Like so. So actually I can't read the kanji there, I'm not very good with my kanji, but on the bottom here is just basically saying minimum factory and congratulations. Okay, so there's minimum factory here. Omedetou gozaimasu there, and then you got Plamax. And then on the back here, so maybe he won something, I don't know. I have to look into his history to work that one out. Here we go, this is basically the box art again. And then we have the legend of all the parts. So you got your 2 sprues and your decals. And then you have your construction diagrams. Starts off with Taniguchi, and then you have your cameraman right here. And then these are actual photographs of Taniguchi and his actual suit. So you can use these as a very good reference for painting up if you want the box art. Or of course you can actually do your own thing, up to you. And then you have your cameraman, okay, which I think is a very interesting pose. Okay, so there we go. So there is my open box review of the Max Factory Plamax 1/20 scale Nobuteru Taniguchi race car driver with the, where is he? Is it here? Oh yeah, with the cameraman right here. So 2 1/20 scale figures all in one box. Really interesting, and I think it's a great set. So there you go. So I hope you've enjoyed my open box review, and if you do, just please click the like button, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, please think about subscribing. So thank you again for joining me.